week. And the biggest news of this past week, Kevin, is the fact that James Harden, he finally got his wish as James Harden was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers from the Philadelphia 76ers. And it was a big deal as Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin, and multiple draft picks and a pick swap were traded for James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrusev, who we will learn a little bit
Like the
more
bean, baby.
about coming up. But that was the official trade between the Clippers and the 76ers. And so, first of all, Kevin, I just wanted to ask because this is the team that James Harden wanted to go to. So this wasn't a big surprise, but more so what I wanted to ask first and foremost is, was this enough for the Clippers to give up, or was it too much?
Every time we heard the Clippers to James Harden, we always heard that Trey Mann was the person holding this trade up. So to see that Terrence Mann, for them to not have to give up Terrence Mann in this trade, I think that would have been like the tip of scale. He's a young player. The Clippers have already learned their mistake trading away young players. So this was their one player they kind of had to hold on to for future knowledge, because Kawhi's going into his last year's contract, same with Paul George. James Harden's going to be a free agent next year. You need someone to commit to long term. You got a new stadium coming up, so this could be your guy. This could be your future. But addressing the trade, this is fucking insane. This is James Harden's fourth team since 2021. He went from the Rockets to the Nets to the 76ers to the now Clippers. So what else does James Harden need? It's very interesting to see that, he's coming back home. This is where he quote unquote wanted to be all along, but he said the same thing about Philadelphia when he went there. So James Harden always has something new to say. I'm really interested to see how this team kind of plays out, because if all healthy, the Clippers team, ever since they got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, you can't address the Clippers without quotation marks saying if healthy. So now you add another guy who kind of goes up and down with the injury, the fat suit, attitude off the court, A, B, C, and D with James Harden. So you're now adding him to the mix with Russell Westbrook. We saw what they were able to do in Houston. It didn't last long because James Harden was still in his mindset if he wants to do it all his way or the highway. So now that we have a guy like Ty Lue to lead this team, I think that he is the best leader for this team. Paul George and Kawhi have been playing really well this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how James Harden comes in and kind of plays alongside PJ Tucker.
It will be interesting for sure. And the thing that I thought about first and foremost when he was first saying that he wanted to go to the Clippers was I automatically thought, okay, he's trying to team back up with Russell Westbrook and he's trying to get that back together. And you look at James Harden since he left the Houston Rockets, he gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And that seemed like it was going to work. And it probably would have worked if Kyrie didn't get hurt, if James Harden didn't have a hamstring injury in that 2021 playoff run, and they ultimately lose to the Bucks go on to win the NBA championship. But it seemed like that was going to work in Brooklyn. Everything going on with Kyrie, it all just kind of fell apart. James Harden then says, I want to play with Joel Embiid. I want to play with the future MVP in Philadelphia. But what kind of fell apart there is Daryl Morey seeming to give him his word and say, hey, if you take less money this year and you opt in, then we're going to give you big money next year. And it seems that Daryl Morey lied to him. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on that as well, Kevin. What do you think about just the relationship kind of falling apart between Morey and James Harden? Because that relationship seemed to be the connecting point that made James Harden want to go there, besides obviously playing with Joel Embiid.
It's interesting, man, because I put myself in this situation, and if you're gonna tell me, my whole life, you're essentially the reason I've made all my money. OKC was on a rookie deal. The first time James Harden got a significant amount of cash was through Daryl Morey. So they built this relationship through years on, through years out. James Harden looked at him as a confidant, someone he can look at and trust to. And now, if the timing was just horrible. If you guys are gonna have a fallout, you shouldn't do it at a kids camp. It's all about the kids. You're in China, so in the States it's 3 a.m. So you're saying this, and no one's gonna be able to really acknowledge it for another 4 or 5 hours. So James Harden I don't like the way it played out. I don't like the way any of his ways have played out of him being traded. Essentially, we've seen other routes. We've seen the Ben Simmons route where he wasn't really vocal, but he made it clear that he wasn't gonna step on the floor. James Harden made it clear, like, I'm not playing for Daryl Morey. No way, no how. But then the day of the road trip, he wants to show up with his go yard bags full of stuff. So you want to play, but you don't want to play. You want your money, but you don't want your money here. You want to go to LA. Now that you're in LA, we can't see this continuing cycle. I do not want to hear at the end of the season we doing a factor cap if James Harden's going to get re-signed by the Clippers or where he's going to go next. I'm tired of this. I would love to see him kind of just settle down and retire somewhere and put down a legacy. His legacy right now was the OKC run and then Houston. After that, it kind of just went down, who's arguably one of the best scorers in NBA history, MVP, 6th man of the year, all-pro, scoring leader, A, B, C, and D. But when you see his moves, his transactions, it just makes you think like, damn, is James Harden the system or can he play a part of the system? And he said in his interview, his press conference, like, I'm not a system player. I am the system. So it's not starting off too hot off the court in LA, but we'll see how things play out. I'm happy to see Russell Westbrook welcome him as well.
Now joining us on episode number 60 of Stats Over Politics is none other than Mr. Jaevon Toddy. How are we doing tonight, Toddy?
How them Kings fans feeling, baby? How y'all feeling? Y'all feeling good? Not good.
Why? Why?
See,
why?
I knew Ty was going to come in here on this energy. I was hoping they weren't undefeated by the time the pod started. I was like, you know what? If they're 4-1, I'm smiling. We have something to say, but Toddy's coming in here. As everybody knows, he is a Celtics fan that was born and raised in Sacramento, California. So I don't know how that worked out for him, but, he's a Celtics fan, and he loves to shit on us because he's had a rough couple of weeks with football. So now Toddy's back in the ring, and as you guys can see, he's throwing a couple jabs, so he's ready to go.
I had to throw a couple jabs at y'all, It's not even y'all fault, though. I'm not even going. It's really not even your fault.
It's the Golden State refs.
Definitely had Golden State on the money line. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit there and lie and say, hey, De'Aaron Fox is out. Y'all gonna beat the Warriors. But that's not. We're not even talking.
Almost
about
the did.
We're not even talking about the Kings right now. But I will. And from me picking the Warriors in that game, the Kings got screwed so many different times in that game. Like there were so many times where I was like, oh, that's a foul. Oh, they didn't call that. That's crazy. Yeah, so we'll definitely get into the Kings a little later. But no, I'm just happy to be here. Good to have Shaun here on a Basketball Friday.
Yeah, my boss is
covering
Star
the Wars short.
Oh no, this is a wrestling shirt. You should know better by now. Yeah, it's a wrestling shirt. Yep, I got you. But yeah, I'm here on a Friday night because my boss was able to cover the one football playoff game that was in Woodland tonight, so gave me the night off, and I'm happy to be here. Also now joining us is none other than recurring cast member, Miss Alex Dent.
Celtic fan.
Oh no! Oh, yeah. We got another Celtics fan on here. Are you gonna bring the hate too? Like Toddy just came guns blazing.
No, I'm not going to.
I appreciate it. Well, welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you.
So we were just getting into the James Harden. Aside from Toddy's hate, yeah, we were talking about the Warriors beating the Kings twice through the first couple games or through first 4 or 5 games. But we were talking about the James Harden trade and him being traded to the Clippers out of your guys' conference being the Eastern Conference. And so, Alex, what did you think about the James Harden trade to the Clippers? Do you think it was a good package that the 76ers got for him?
I don't know because I know they got a few first and second round picks. I just don't know the year. And if I'm the front office of the 76ers, I'm working on Joel Embiid's timeline. Right? He's like 29, 30, right? So he only has a few good years left, right? So I'm like, I need something now. Like I'm not really trying to rebuild. Like I'm trying to get some good pieces now, fit around him, and then he'll take us the whole way, right? And I think one of the picks, or maybe it was a pick swap, was like 2028. Right. And I think
that's the unprotected first round pick. Yeah.
Unprotected. Okay. So that's just a little too far for me. Right. So I don't know if Philly got the best deal out of them. Right. But I think they got James Harden off their chest. Right. They just kind of wanted that negativity right out of that locker room, things like that, and just kind of go forward with the team that they got. Right. As far as the Clippers, though, I'm not too sure how all of those big names are going to fit together. But we'll see. I got to see them really into it before I really give my full opinion on it because I'm kind of iffy. It could go both ways for me. They're definitely the wild card in the West, I would say.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with any team that James Harden is on, is it could go either way. And so, Toddy, if you are able now to put your hate aside, take the hate out of your heart, player hater of the year, I was just wondering what your thoughts were on the James Harden trade to the Clippers.
I mean, it was inevitable, right? We all kind of knew where he was going. If anybody would have asked, it would have been like, hey, is James Harden, where will James Harden end up by the end of the year? We would all probably said the LA Clippers. As far as the trade package goes, I mean, a couple of picks. I feel like the picks were what everybody was waiting on, whether that's the couple of firsts, the unprotecteds. That's pretty much what it came down and boiled down to. So, not surprised that I guess I'm surprised that it happened this early because it was 3-4 games in. Like, all right, it's time to get to it. And we saw that PJ already played, pretty much the night after he got traded. So Harden's, I guess, ramping up for Monday. So I'm pretty sure everyone's going to figure out a way to watch that Clipper game on Monday night to see what it's going to look like for James Harden, Russ, PG, how they're all going to fit. And Russ even said after at the end of the Laker game, they were like, hey, what do you think about the trade? He's like, I really can't tell the future. I don't know what it's going to look like. Oh, my God, Steph just hit a game winner.
That's great. Good for them. But I'm just going to try not to be bitter. Good for them.
But, I mean, as far as the trade goes, I mean, it is what it is. But I feel like this team would have been really fire like 4 or 5 years ago. Now, I'm not so sure because Paul George, Kawhi, we don't really know. That dynamic is always a team that can definitely win games, but will they be able to stay healthy through the course of a regular season? We haven't really seen that. And the bubble was pretty much the last time we kind of saw them healthy together in the playoffs, and people were like, oh, it's the bubble. It's not a real thing. Blah, blah, blah. That's neither here nor there. So, yeah, I'd love to see, Russ, how the whole Russ Harden dynamic. I feel like that's going to be the key dynamic because Russ has been playing great these past couple of games. If you guys have been watching him play, he's been distributing the ball. He's been scoring. Whenever he's been attacking the basket, we've been shooting from three pretty decently. I know Russ doesn't really shoot the three ball that well, but he's been shooting pretty well. But I think they have to start all of them pretty much to just to figure out how their rotation is going to look like. I feel like to start the season, you'll probably see Russ, Harden, PG, and Kawhi on the floor at the same time for the first couple of games, and then they'll probably start to figure out, when they stagger all their minutes, like who does well with the second unit, this, that, and the third, and they'll kind of just go from there. But, the West gets better. You're adding who is an all-star caliber player in James Harden. Led the league in assists last year. So, the West it's just going to keep getting tougher and tougher. And I'm very excited to see what this Clipper team looks like, with James Harden added to this team. No fat suit.
Well, Jaevon, you keep saying that the West keeps getting better. I keep thinking of it closer to home that the Pacific Division keeps getting better and better. And the Pacific Division is arguably the best division in basketball. And you look at last season, all 5 teams in the Pacific Division made the playoffs. But the Kings won the Pacific Division. They didn't get past the first round, but they did win the hardest division in basketball, at least in my opinion.
Yes,
you know what? Yeah, they're going to win.
Hell yeah, Shaun. Let them know.
Yeah, because
clip this.
Well, the thing is, hold on. Give me another 30 seconds for this clip because the reason why I'm confident in saying it